1993. The strike started in 1990, settled in 1993. Was for 39 months.
What made that one of the finest moments? What in particular made that more special?
Well, that was Greyhound's been a prominent part of our union, and that was perhaps the most traumatic thing in my experience, and perhaps the experience of the ATU.
Any other fond memories of working at ATU?
I'm sorry.
Any other fond memories?
I can't hear you.
Any other fond memories of working?
Yeah, Connecticut, 1974. We lost 374 members when the company went out of business. Nobody picked them up, and the members had no strike benefits, no unemployment benefits. We just lost their jobs.
Well, one of my fondest memories of involved at the ATU, I wasn't part of the ATU at the time, was when the ATU finally organized the Atlantic Greyhound in 1953. And then, of course, when I was executive vice president with Jim LaSala, I think it was in 1993, was the settlement of the Greyhound strike, which really saved the Greyhound members, and at least part of their contract was salvaged. So those two things, I guess, because I was a Greyhound driver, that stands out in my mind more than anything else.
How long did you drive?
I only drove about 10 years.
Okay.
Then I become a international officer, or local union officer rather, and then I become an international officer in 1974, and executive vice president in 1986.
Any other memories of working for the ATU?
Well, I have great fond memories of working with the ATU and all of the officers and the executive board, and working with Jim LaSala. It was a great experience in my life, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And most of all, it has all worked for the betterment of our membership, for their working conditions and benefits. So those are kind of the highlights. I've got others, but
It's hard to remember all of them, right?
yes, it is.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Bob Serena. I'm a retired international vice president. My home local was Local 1374, which was known as the Greyhound local. However, it was more than just Greyhound. It was a huge local. We negotiated contracts for Red Deer Transit, Medicine Hat Transit, Saskatchewan Transportation Company, Coastal and Far West bus lines. And I had no idea how big the job was until I was put in the spot and became the presiding officer. I was amazed by the diversity of our membership. We had guys from Vancouver to Sudbury, and we had members all over the prairies, and it was a wonderful experience to be able to work with these people. My fondest memories are just working with all the different sub-locals, as we call them, which were scattered all over the province of British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. And I had the privilege and opportunity to go into those communities and meet with the sub-local officers and deal with the issues that they were dealing with. And of course, many of our issues were almost identical. It was a great honor and privilege to serve as the local president of 1374. I served in that capacity for 10 years until Jimmy LaSala put me into a position as an international representative, and then I became an international vice president in 1986. Working with the International Union was a new experience, and it was fantastic. I was just delighted to work with people like Jimmy LaSala, Ellis Franklin, and of course I also had the opportunity to meet with people like John Rowland, Dan Maroney, and it was fabulous to work with these people. And I'm so proud to have been a member of this organization and served in those positions. It was an honor and a privilege. I'll be forever grateful for having had that opportunity. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
My name is Ken Foster. I've been retired Canadian director. Service, I guess I've been with the union since 1972. I was Canadian director for since 1983. And last time I was in this facility, it was 30 years ago, and between then and now, the changes have been enormous. So congratulations to the ATU, and money well spent. Fondest memory here at the center with the ATU. I guess my first convention in Los Angeles was my fondest memory because it was certainly a learning experience, but it's well worth the effort. That was in 1977. Oh, yeah, I know. So, but that had to be my fondest memory because it was my first convention, and seeing what it was all about.
Hi, I'm Stan Dera. I've been an ATU member since 1983. I've been president business agent in Brampton for 12 years, and prior to that, executive vice president. And it all culminated with becoming a Canadian director, supposedly on a temporary basis, but it lasted a couple of years. My fondest memory would be when I negotiated the first contract for the local, and it was a good one, and it was very rewarding. Period.
I've been a union member since 1958, bus driver, of course, 58, and then about 73 I became international officer, and I worked until 87 until I retired. But I was just happy that I had an opportunity in my career to be able to help people. I mean, that was my main goal. We didn't have much money in the early days, so if you were going to do this job, you had to do it, for the love of job. So it was, and it's worked out, and I'm happy. I mean, I've been able to raise my family. I've been able to go places, to do things. I have medical insurance, and I think without the ATU, I probably would not have had all of those things. So I'm real happy and comfortable being a retired ATU officer. So with that, anything else? Fondest moment with the ATU is when Ellis Franklin, Executive Vice President, called me and said, "I've been appointed as a International Vice President." That was my fondest moment, and I was quite happy.